chest back or push pull, and we can't do anything else. And if you do, you're kind of sacrificing optimal muscle growth or whatnot. And that's what I mean by the big picture is lost. I think the big picture is your body is trying to adapt to a challenge. And okay, at the park today, and I brought my cables, my 25-pound kettlebell, and 15-pound steel mace. There was no video yesterday because instead of doing a lifting workout, I went on a long walk. I walked for 7 miles, which is around 11 kilometers. The reason I didn't lift yesterday was because the workout from the day before had got me feeling sore. Well, not necessarily sore. I don't know. It just felt like a good day to rest. Sore is not the right word, but like when I would, stretch my lats and stuff, I was feeling like a kind of tightness that needed some more time to kind of relax, I would say, or at least that's what it felt like. And so instead of trying to press the issue, I decided to go on a walk instead. And for the first 242 episodes, I had held myself to a daily upload schedule, which kind of forced me to work out, like do a weight training workout every day. And I think that kind of took away from me being able to focus on stuff like walking and running, because when I walk and run there isn't a whole lot to record, because I don't walk or run on like cardio machines. I walk and run outside. And it was, so ever since I've kind of let myself take a break, which I think was at episode 243, I've changed my mindset from daily uploads to mostly daily uploads. Like I'm more okay with missing a day, but that doesn't mean I'm taking a rest day. It just means I'm doing something else, like going on a run or a walk. And yeah, not that taking rest days from working out is bad, but that's just my way of doing things. And yeah, essentially having that day off kind of like then when I didn't make an episode after 242, I was like, oh, it's, like not missing a day isn't the worst thing, or missing a day isn't the worst thing. And it actually is probably more sustainable in the long term, because I plan on like uploading my videos and sharing all of this stuff for a really long time. And there's no way that it would have been sustainable to do daily uploads for as long as I'm planning on doing this. And for that matter, there was this sort of dread that was building up, in the sense that, like, I knew that at the end of each day, like, I wouldn't just get to sit down and relax and go to bed. Instead, after a day of work, I then had to go work out and then make a video, then upload it, which usually took till about 1 a.m., 1:30 a.m. on most nights. And so now that I'm kind of, I've kind of lifted that, what's the word? I don't know, I guess restriction? That I have to upload a video every day. Now, it feels a lot more relaxing and something that I look forward to. Yeah. So like today, when I was pulling the camera out, I didn't necessarily dread doing it, but felt more at ease and looked forward to doing it. It's hard to talk and concentrate on my workout at the same time. Anyway, I don't think I mentioned this, but starting off the workout with seated cable rows and chest presses. And then moving into steel mace 360s. So yeah, I'm gonna do these for a bit, probably like 10 sets. These are all like relatively, I don't know, just feel like smooth movements, not overly taxing. So I can just cycle through them back to back for 10 sets without necessarily exhausting myself too much. And yeah, I'm gonna do this and then on to something else. It feels like this intro was a little awkward, but whatever. So for the next thing, doing a steel mace complex, starting off with 3 steel mace 360s to 3 curl to presses, switching sides. I'm going to repeat the pattern for twice on each side. And then going to superset that with 10 push-ups. and 5 pull-ups. So yeah, I'm gonna do that for 10 sets and then on to something else. That was my 9th set, so I'm just gonna record the last one while I'm on camera. This is actually my 3rd take of trying to record this, because I was trying to make a point about something, and then while trying to make that point, I either got interrupted or I got scatterbrained. But it is what it is. I'm not going to try and make that point now. I'll try to do it on the next exercise. I'll try to make the point. So the point I was trying to make was people get too caught up in like rep ranges and the ideal exercise, or what is the exercise that grows the most amount of muscle, and what are the rep ranges, etc., etc., etc. And I think by thinking of things in that way, kind of the big picture is lost. Yeah, people get too caught up in like what the ideal split is and stuff like that. So, like, if there is an ideal split, explain to me how calisthenic athletes and gymnasts and stuff have the physiques that they do, or swimmers have the physiques that they do. They might not be like bodybuilder physiques, but at least with gymnasts and calisthenic athletes, they're doing the same muscles, like working out them from a muscular standpoint pretty much every day. And and then in the fitness world, we start like portioning things into like, oh, we got to do a chest back or push pull, and we can't do anything else. And if you do, you're kind of sacrificing optimal muscle growth or whatnot. And that's what I mean by the big picture is lost. I think the big picture is your body is trying to adapt to a challenge, and the way your body is going to change is if you keep presenting it with different kinds of challenges. The challenges can come in different forms. If you're going to do something more endurance based, so which is doing something for 30 reps or 40, no, well, not 30 reps, but just doing something for a really long time, the kind of adaptation that is going to happen is different versus if you're trying to lift something really heavy once. Like, so for example, if you have to lift something really heavy, your muscles have to be dense, your bone has to be dense, otherwise you're just going to kind of crumble under the pressure. And so by appropriately introducing your body to heavy weight, your body is able to signal to your bones and the muscles and stuff, hey, we have to get a little thicker because it seems like this guy is lifting heavy weights and we have to kind of densen or get more dense. Densen? Is densen a word? In any case, I was going to say densen ourselves up a little bit more. I think densen is a word. I don't know why it doesn't sound right though. And if you look at like calisthenic athletes and stuff, there are people whose regular workouts are like 100 reps, 200 reps of push-ups, and they barely do any additional added weight, and they have like massive chests. So like, what's going on there? Well, it seems like another thing that causes your body to signal for every like things to get bigger is like when you use multiple muscle groups at the same time. So when you use multiple muscle groups at the same time, it seems that your body releases a lot of growth hormone and signals your body to get like bigger. So you'll know. So, but it, but no gymnast seems to get to the size of like a elite powerlifter, and no elite powerlifter. Well, there's one guy, Richard Hawthorne, who's like 130 pounds, who can deadlift like 600, 700 pounds. So, but like there are outliers, but for for the most part, um, like when you use your body in like a unit or where multiple muscle groups are working at once. So while doing a push-up, although your main muscle involved is the chest, your arms are involved, you're keeping your stomach off the floor, so there's the core involved and things like that. And then usually most calisthenic people are also doing like pull-ups and stuff along with it, and then they probably also get slightly heavier, and then they keep doing the same amount of reps, and they're able to accrue a lot of volume. In any case, the main point I'm trying to make is you have to present your body with the right kind of challenges to get what you want from it. And getting too caught up in like the rep range isn't necessarily going to help. You have to think of it more so as like, if 8 reps doesn't challenge you, then it's not going to change. Uh, and sometimes you have to play around with different kinds of challenges. So if all you're doing is training in like the 8 to 12 rep range and never in the 30 rep range, then your body kind of loses its capability, like an endurance capability. So you won't, so like you won't be able to do, like an example is like, let's say you can do 135 pounds on a squat or whatever for like 10 reps, and then as you get stronger you end up doing 225 pounds for like, let's say 5 reps. All right, and that's kind of like where you're plateauing at. If you instead now go back to like, if you've plateaued at 225, then if you go back to 135 and then just build up an endurance of doing longer sets, so like doing 15 rep sets, 20 rep sets, 25 rep sets with 135, it will then translate into the 225, because once you've done because once you've adapted to doing high reps with 135, once you've done 5 reps with, when you go back and try to do 225 for 5, your body will feel like we still have a lot left in the tank, like we're used to doing 30 rep sets. 5 reps doesn't feel like that much. So it's a combination of the both, and you have to kind of listen to your body and see where the sticking points is to kind of figure that out. In any case, that was the point I was trying to make. This is my third take at it, but hopefully what I said comes across right. There's a lot of nuance to these things, and anytime someone says fitness advice, there's someone to like tell you you're wrong. I understand there's a lot of nuance and stuff, but the main idea is present your body with the right challenges and it'll adapt accordingly. The actual rep ranges and stuff are just getting too focused, too nitty gritty, and losing the general concept of what's going on. It's starting to get dark a lot sooner. I don't know if it's apparent on the camera, but for the next thing, doing alternate steel mace 360 to curtsy lunge. I'm supersetting that with 5 pull-ups and 10 push-ups, keeping that constant. It's also a lot cooler than it usually is. It's only the beginning of August, and I don't know, already the early shades of fall is here. I don't really mind fall. It's the winter that's really long and annoying. But you know, it is what it is. Yeah, I hope the point that I was making the previous clip came through all right, because it was my third attempt at saying it, and when I like try to say these things, I try to cover all my bases, but like with, you know, it's like there's a lot of nuance when it comes to fitness, and there's yikes and there's always a lot of nuance when it comes to fitness, and there's always like outliers that you can find for almost every rule. But in general, the idea is your body has to make the necessary adaptations that it considers optimal to face whatever you're presenting it. So if you're running long distances, it makes sense for your body to want to get smaller, even if that means losing a lot of muscle. So like if you're not lifting weights whatsoever, or even if it's very little and you're running like 90% of the time, your body won't recognize enough of a reason to keep all that muscle and weight on you, because the main challenge is to travel long distances. And so it will more readily get rid of that if you don't present any lifting stimulus. And even the loss of muscle and things like that, it's not a process that happens so readily. Like people who fast a lot also, so like there are a lot of athletes these days that incorporate fasting into their regimen, and the big I guess counterpoint that people like to say to that is, oh, you're just burning away your muscle and stuff. Your muscles don't just get lost. You only end, like not you only end up, the amount of muscle you lose while fasting can be drastically reduced if you keep training while you're fasting. And that doesn't mean train intense, but to still be active, to still go on a walk and things like that. I don't know what study exactly, but a few studies have been done on muscle loss during fasting, and in what they found was that if you're staying relatively active while fasting, then you still hold on to quite a bit of muscle. So for example, one of the biggest fasting I guess examples is when David Blaine was suspended in a glass box for I think 32 days or more without any food and only water. And when you do that, like he's getting zero physical activity. There is no, like your body at that point doesn't see any reason to hold on to muscle because it doesn't have to stay active, and it starts like wasting away. But then there are other instances where the person who was fasting also went on regular walks and also did weight training in which they held on to like pretty much, I don't know, I don't know the duration, but they pretty much, like, the muscle wastage was minimal. And so that's kind of like this whole idea of you just I'm messing up. This whole idea if you just lose muscle so readily like that if you do cardio or if you don't eat enough is overstated. The main thing is you need to be patient and be willing to work out for a long enough duration to where your body changes. Like, it has to become the norm. So like if you're someone that just started working out, like what is the time for which you've been active relative to the time you've been inactive, and how much time have you spent lifting versus any other kind of thing. So your body's going to take a while to adapt to those changes, and over time, like if you're patient enough for a long enough time and you're continuously challenging yourself with weight, with duration, different kinds of exercises, your body will inevitably adapt. It feels like my thoughts are scattered and whatever. In any case, let's talk about something else, because I feel like if I keep saying this, it's just going to sound redundant and I'm going to feel like I've never really got to make my point across. So if you have any questions, ask it in the comments and I'll get back to you. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Some kids playing baseball. It's only 8:40 and it's getting pretty dark. Another thing, I guess, another aspect of fitness that often like people get confused about is diet and stuff too. And I'm not really going to get into that too much because diet varies even more so than training sometimes, I think, as to how people respond to it. Like with diets, there's so many different varieties of things that have worked for people. I know people who look extremely shredded that do only 50 to 60 grams of protein a day. And so it's like the recipe is really different for a lot of, like, for each individual. There are some general guidelines, but it can vary a lot. And so I guess the main point about eating and stuff is same like with your training, you have to give it time, because when you've been eating a certain way, all your systems in your body have adapted to processing that kind of food, that kind of calories, and working with that. If you if you're making a change as far as fitness goes, and you're uh, having different kinds of food and stuff, it's going to take your body to get used to it. And so if you don't see results in even in like a month or so, a month might be long enough for most people, but sometimes even a month doesn't do it. Like, you have to be consistent with the kind of food you're having for extended duration for it to really like kind of notice it, unless you're making an extreme change where you're cutting your calories in half or something, where the challenge is so drastic that your body shows immediate change. But if the change is like gradual as it should be and doesn't uh, shock your body too much, you have to give it time. And especially, like, let's say you're someone who's into fitness and training for a long time, and you've already given it like already taken a long time of lifting and stuff, and now you've hit a plateau, then uh, you then try something else out, like try different rep ranges, try like give your body something new to adapt to, because a plateau, I think, essentially is your body, it has kind of gotten stuck. It feels like it's adapted to whatever you're presenting it and doesn't feel like doing too much more. And so the way to get out of that is give it new stuff to adapt to, and then how the body adapts to that new stuff will have carry over to the old stuff you were working on, provided they're related. In any case, gonna do this for a little bit longer. It's getting dark. I don't know. Let's see what happens next. All right, moving into some juggling. Did 5 sets of the previous thing, and yeah, wanted to do this before it got too dark. It's already pretty freaking dark, but it is what it is. One of the thoughts that I was having, apart from just like this kind of stuff, is like how people try to separate the concept of body and mind, as if like, like how you feel at any given moment has a lot to do with how you feel mentally, and how you feel mentally has a lot to do with how you feel in your body. So personally, when like my thoughts are racing, I notice my muscles tighten up, and conversely, if I like feel like I'm not thinking that much, then my body is more loose. And when you've like, if someone like hits you, or you're like feeling pain, the kind of thoughts you have are like more pain oriented. So like the kind of thoughts you have are severely impacted by the kind of stimulus your body receives. For example, if you're eating something really nice, like you're an ice cream or something, your tongue is separate from your brain, or what most people like to consider who themselves is, or whatever, like the person behind the head. But the tongue is still the tongue, and it's just experiencing something sweet. And usually when you're experiencing something sweet, you experience joy, right? And you know, joy is a mental state. Are you a happy person, sad person, etc., etc., etc. So in any case, like what your body is experiencing has a lot to do with how you're like who you are, and I don't think the mind and body are separate. How you're doing physically has a lot to do with how you're doing mentally. Now let's do that again. And I hope it's not too dark for the video. Yeah, it's too dark to see the kettlebell and even to get this on video. I don't know, this might be it for today's video. A lot of talking, some working out. Well, I was working out while the camera wasn't on. But I don't know, hope it was fun to listen. If you have any thoughts about anything, leave it down in the comments. And yeah, see you all tomorrow.